Okay, now that we've got our case study context, let's set up a game within this context. So, say a funder has identified a set of highly lucrative, attractive potential class action cases that they'd like to fund for a given period, but they are yet to choose law firms through which to pursue these cases. So, through the platform, they invite law firms registered on the platform to bid for the cases. The players are obviously the law firms bidding for these funded cases, and each firm employs their own tactics to try and win these cases, ranging from structuring their fees to be palatable to the funder and complainant, to demonstrating their experience in dealing with such cases to the funder, or even modifying the data input to the win probability calculation algorithm with data unique to the firm to demonstrate that the win probability significantly increases if they are the ones chosen to litigate the case. There's information and insights available on the platform for all parties to use to best position themselves to win the work. Outside of the obvious payoff, there are other desired outcomes, such as improving the winning firm's chances of getting similar large funded class action cases in the future, guaranteeing sustained large revenue for the firm in the future. So let's say out of these firms, there's this one firm that has modeled their entire operations on this one funder. There are multitudes of funders on the platform, but they've modeled their operations for an audience of one, this particular funder. This firm has handled only three medical malpractice cases, all related to oncology, that were all settled. The contention in these cases is that the oncology institution was pushing one particular treatment drug to a specific class demographic of patients, not because it was effective, but because they received higher commissions for prescribing this drug, even when this drug proved to be highly detrimental to patients with certain types of disease profiles. They push this drug to this demographic, particularly because this demographic is less likely to pick up the injustice and pursue litigation. This law firm has determined that a founding partner of this particular funding institution is passionate about such cases as they've lost a loved one in a similar manner and they are not shy to pony up for such cases. So essentially, this firm is using a unique internal capability to synergize with one particular funding institution. They further target a specific region or country where they laser focus on building oncology related malpractice case litigation capability to the extent that they snap up any lawyer who has any kind of experience in litigating oncology related malpractice cases. In the case that this particular funder doesn't like to lose these cases and therefore puts firm capability over anything in selecting a firm to litigate their funded cases, the strong capability firm is in pole position to win the work. Now, a dominant strategy itself can take on various forms. The first is the strictly dominant form, wherein the dominant player has significant advantage over opponents in a given scenario, in a given context. So consider three scenarios. In the first scenario, this law firm only targets oncology cases of interest to this particular funder, so the audience of one setup. In this case, the strategy can be considered to be strictly dominant because internal contextual factors, mainly internal capability, is particularly designed for this specific scenario. This shoe fits very well for scenario one as a scenario where the dominant player enjoys a strictly dominant position. External factors as well, mainly competitive factors such as personal expertise, also favor this firm in this scenario. Furthermore, all these factors are not dependent on the other player's tactics. If, say, another firm lobbies most of the claimants to be on its side with the objective of winning the funded case from this particular investor, chances are that this investor will seek counsel from the dominant player firm on how to proceed, thereby giving them control over the outcome of the setup of the case on most of the key factors such as lead counsel, deal structure, as well as litigation strategy. The dominant player will always yield a better outcome than the opponents in the strictly dominant situation. There is no other tactic or strategy that opponents can use to alter their outcome. The dominant strategy always prevails in a strictly dominant situation with a better outcome for the dominant player against opponents. Now consider that scenario 2 involves the dominant firm going for all oncology cases regardless of who the key or target funder is. The strategy is still dominant. However, other funders may not necessarily value all the attributes this firm has in considering who to appoint on a case. So the dominant player still enjoys an advantage in terms of capability and other internal factors. They enjoy a strong position when pitching for their audience of one. But this advantage slightly loses its strength when the pool of potential funders, in terms of the pool of funded cases, is widened. This can be referred to as a weakly dominant position. In this scenario, the one outcome is that they have a good chance of being considered in the running for being the lead firm to litigate this case, whereas the other outcome is that they lose out and don't get chosen. The last scenario we'll consider involves the dominant firm competing for all cases on the platform. Perhaps the rogue activity in the fields of cancer-related surgery and treatment is diminishing due to litigation-induced consequences for discriminatory surgeons and negligent oncology centers, thereby leading to a downward trend in the number of such complaints. This trend makes it necessary for the dominant firm to review their target cases and expand their scope. It might very well be that the nature and trends of complaints are changing in general, resulting in a decidedly different context than what all the players are used to. Other contextual changes might be the changing profile of respondents, perhaps due to legislative changes, or it might be that respondent litigation strategies are changing, leading to a need for a different approach on the complainant side. Perhaps this new change in the contextual landscape is making funders nervous, and the platform is in danger of facing a shrinking pool of interested and motivated case funders and investors. Now, in this scenario, it might be worthwhile for all the players to get together, pool their resources, capabilities, and stakeholder relationships, and come up with a strategy to pivot the platform and address the sustainability issues. This situation fits as an equivalence outcome of a dominant strategy. All the players might decide to allocate cases to each other based on capability, expertise, and experience, wherein there's one lead firm for each group of particular cases, and the other firms lend their resources to this lead firm to ensure a stronger front in tackling this new contextual landscape. They all share the costs and spoils to ensure everyone keeps their head above water to fight another day, thereby restoring confidence of funders and investors that they can adapt to the new landscape and still get case outcomes that are worthwhile for the funders. And that's it for chapter 1.2. We'll continue in the same vein and explore the Nash equilibrium as a fundamental of game theory in chapter 1.3. Thanks for watching.